right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor and executive director here. This is Jerome. He's the community ambassador here. Welcome to all of you online people joining us from whatever state you're in, whatever living room you're in, or bathroom or kitchen or wherever you are joining us from. We're glad you're here, glad you're part of this community. This is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And there's always one thing we don't do. Y'all can shout it out on the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
We don't do shame.
We don't do shame. But Jerome's going to tell you some things happening here that you might want to know about.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you. First and foremost, if this is your first time here, welcome. Great to see you. Great to have you with us tonight. We have some welcome bags in the staff office. After this service, please see me. I'm happy to give one to you. It has a few note cards in there about who we are, what we do. Has a nice swag bracelet to it, and some fresh roasted coffee from yours truly, Mrs. Tammy Canaday. Yes, you see myself or someone from the home team if they're still here.
For new people.
For new people.
First-time guests.
Yes. Second, we have the Grounded Warrior Retreat coming up. That is October 20th, yes, with Maggie and some more holistic practitioners. If you are a subscriber or interested in a holistic approach to life, join them. They know what they're doing. They're great people.
Yeah, it's going to be a Sunday, October 20th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Well worth your time, promise.
Yeah, information is on our website. And next is going to be the Faith in Blue or Coffee with a Cop. So for those of you justice impacted, or maybe your experiences with law enforcement have not been great, or they've been a little below the bar, this will be the exact opposite. Turns out they're wonderful people when they're not after you or out to get you, and they happen to be huge supporters of our mission here. So they're making themselves available. They're going to join us on the 21st. It's a Monday. So please come interact with them, find out that they're great people and they're interested in what we're doing. So please look into it, and information about that is also on our website. The next one is the Candy Crawl on the 25th. So 2 weeks from today, it's going to be between services. Bring your kids, bring your family, bring your creepy costumes, all the things. We'll have candy here. And
you can even stay dressed up in your creepy gear for the service, right?
Okay, if you say so. It's going to be interesting. And that's the Saturday before Halloween, not after. No costumes after Halloween, please.
Yeah, and bring the kids. We'll have candy stations all over. They can get candy so they get all hopped up on sugar before you put them to bed. It's great. Happens every year.
You're welcome. And last but not least, we have the Enneagram Book Club in November. It's going to be on the first 4 Saturdays of November. Turns out there's 5 in November, so I'm not crazy saying it that way. The first 4, it's free of charge. Just bring yourself. And what's the name of the book?
The book is called The Enneagram for Recovery. And Shani Jones is leading this. If you're in recovery and you're interested in the Enneagram, this book study is for you. It's going to be on Saturdays.
And
you should come.
I cannot tell you guys enough. I did the Enneagram workshop for us a few months back with Shani, and it was an incredible experience. I'm one of those like self-learners. I love to identify where some blind spots might exist in my life, or maybe give me some context of how I operate in life. It unlocks. So for the fellow Enneagrams, I'm a number 3, right? The achiever. I didn't know the pitfalls of being an achiever. Maybe I don't pick up on opportunity. I don't hear things. Maybe I step over stuff sometimes. So please show up to that. That's 3:30 to 5 o'clock on Saturdays.
5, yep.
Yeah, for those that want to mark your calendar, it's not on our website. So
it will be. It might be now.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yep.
And I hope to see you there. And that's all I have. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you, Jerome. All right, y'all. Hey, the way we get started on a Saturday night here at Free is with celebrations. We lift up the good. We start with the good. Maybe you're celebrating a sobriety anniversary or birthday or anything new in your life or in your recovery. There's nothing too big or too small. We celebrate it all here. We take 3 minutes for this. You can just raise up your hand. Shua will have a mic on this side. Darren will have one on this side. For those of you joining us online, drop your celebrations in the comments on Facebook or YouTube, whatever platform you're joining us from, and we'll join with you there. Let's take a 3 minute, shall we? Front row.
My name is Kira, and I just want to celebrate my 18-year-old son had 2 years of sobriety on Friday, yesterday.
Way to go, Connor. Congratulations. 18 years old, 2 years. That's really cool.
My name is Austin, and today's my 30 days sober.
All right, Austin. Congratulations, buddy. Glad you're here.
My name is Abby, and I'm celebrating my mom's bravery.
Yeah, she is brave, sharing her story tonight. We'll celebrate that. Thank you, Abby. Mom's bravery. I love it.
Hi, I'm Carrie. I am celebrating doing the Walk for the Cure today.
All right. And I know that means something to you. Congratulations, Carrie.
My name is Monica. I'm celebrating 18 months as of the 7th.
18 months, Monica. Way to go. Congratulations.
My name's Robin, and I just finished my second semester grad school today.
Way to go, Robin. Congratulations.
My name is Jaden, and I'm celebrating 33 days of sobriety today.
All right. Congratulations, brother. Glad you're here. 33 days.
My name's Peyton. I'm an addict, and today I'm celebrating 90 days clean.
9 days clean. Way to go. Glad you're here. Oh, look at us. We went all quiet. Okay, we got more. We got more.
Yeah, my name is Sai. I just hit 28 months on the 10th.
28 months, Sai. Way to go, brother. Congratulations, buddy.
Hi, my name's Rachel, and I'm celebrating 96 days of sobriety.
All right, Rachel. Congratulations. Way to go.
My name is Mac, and in 2 days I'll have 2 weeks.
All right, Matt. Congratulations, dude. Glad you're here.
Hi, I'm Zach. I'm an addict. I'm celebrating 104 days today.
104 days, Zach. Way to go, buddy.
What's yours?
My name's Ron, and I just celebrated 28 years clean and sober.
28 years. Way to go, Ron. Congratulations, man.
My name's Matt. I had 4 months on Tuesday.
All right, Matt. Congratulations, dude. Glad you're here. Did we have one more? We didn't have one more. All right, Shua, you got one?
I'm Shua. I'm an alcoholic. And because of free, we don't do shame. Today when I was coaching class, I talked about my story and shared it. And then I met Tyler in class, and Tyler's here now today. So those are hard-won friendships, my man.
Welcome, Tyler. We're glad you're here. Shua, you want to join me up here? Do you want to read some online comments with me?
Oh, yeah, I can read.
Why don't you, dude? You came up here last week.
I got it really close.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you don't have your glasses on, do you? All right, you take the first one, then I'll take the second one. Then we'll go back and forth. Got it.
All right, this is from Kayla Wiseheart. Today I am 170 days sober. I had a healthy day outside with my pup, Leroy Brown, up in Fort Collins.
All right, Kayla. That's good stuff. We'll celebrate that. Travis says, just beginning my journey to sobriety 2 weeks in. I'm enjoying my new journey. Keep doing it, Travis. We're celebrating you, brother.
Travis.
Happy 2 weeks.
This is Derek Martinez, celebrating 1 year sober in 2 days.
Way to go, Derek.
Hang on, brother.
Happy almost 1 year. Jen says, no fronts. Who said no fronts?
I knew someone was going to say
Come on now. We are that much closer. Christy and I picked up our marriage license from the Register of Deeds yesterday. Congratulations, Jen and Christy. We'll celebrate that love.
So Kate Nemmers, it says, I just celebrated 30 days on Friday. Third time's a charm.
Way to go, Kate. Everyone's clapping for you. Steven says, Mike Anderson, good day. worked 8 to 12, and then took time away from work. Great day. How about yourself? I think he's talking to Mike, but we're going to celebrate that, Stephen. Congratulations on the great day.
From Ricky Salazar, celebrating 1,979 days today. Love y'all.
Love y'all. All the way from Texas.
What's the
Way to
math
go,
on
Ricky.
that?
Kai is with us this evening online, and she says, missing my free fam while I'm doing Saturday school, celebrating 575 days free of fentanyl. Way to go, Kai. Yeah, that's worthy.
From Brenda Trupp, a few know mine, but I celebrate the support I felt this year. There are beautiful souls out there. Love on yourself.
Yeah, she's doing big things. Way to go, Brenda. We'll celebrate that. Thank you, Shua. I'll take that mic from you, actually. Keep it up on the couch for our guest storyteller, who I can't wait for y'all to hear. All right, listen, y'all, we're starting a new series tonight. This series is called, what's it called? What We Stand For. This is a series on what we stand for. We do this series once a year to remind us of who we are. It's our 4 pillars, so this will be a 4-week series, starting with authenticity and recovery, then moving to no shame and new life. Tonight it's authenticity. Take a look.
We created Free because someone had to stand for the addicts and loved ones of addicts who were suffering in silence, for the spiritual refugees who didn't have a place of belonging. A traditional church model doesn't create space for the conversations we know have to be had. Free is standing with those who are barely hanging on, who are longing for something new. Free is bridging the gap between spirituality and recovery. In this place, God meets us exactly where we are. This is what we stand for.
485 million years ago, coral reefs started to appear in the shallow waters of the ocean. And y'all, when I was at Shedd Aquarium in Chicago back in May of this year, some of y'all remember this trip? Me and my boy Breck, we got on a plane and flew to Chicago to meet my mom and grandma. My grandma is 86 years old. One of her bucket list trips was to see Shedd Aquarium in Chicago. When we were in Shedd Aquarium, I learned all kinds of things about corals, and these things are absolutely fascinating. Like, did you know? In fact, please tell me you didn't know this so I don't feel so stupid. Did you know corals, those things you see on the ocean floor when you're snorkeling, they're beautiful, they are not plants. They are not of the plant life. Did you know that? No, you didn't know that. I didn't either. They are part of the animal life. They're animals. Yeah, you didn't know that. I didn't know it either. They're made up of hundreds of thousands of individual living polyps, and corals are at the center of the entire ocean's ecosystem, and there's all sorts of reasons for this. But what fascinated me most about these corals is how they learned how to survive over these past 485 million years. Absolutely fascinating. In fact, when I was there at Shedd Aquarium, at one of the exhibits, there was this sign, and I took a picture of this sign. It still lives on my phone today, and I'll share this sign with you. It says, "What's at the center of a reef?" Corals build hard skeletons around themselves for protection. As coral colonies grow, these walls build up. When a coral dies, its skeleton remains and becomes a foundation for new corals to settle upon. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? You mean these corals, they have a way of building up a hard skeleton shell around themselves for protection. And maybe it didn't start this way, but it's the way they evolved over time. Like, maybe these corals just got so tired of getting hurt. So tired of being destroyed by these external forces in the ocean. And talk about generational trauma. Well, what do these corals do when they die? Well, they leave behind this hardened shell for the next generation, for their future kids to build a life upon. You see, when I think about corals, I think, Man, good for you guys. I mean, seriously, good on you. You found a way to survive. You figured out the art of survival. By show of hands, if you are willing, of course, would you raise your hand if you have ever battled or you are currently battling addiction? Yeah. Keep your hands up a moment and take a moment and look around. Yeah, familiarize yourself with your surroundings. Thank you. You can put your hands down. By show of hands, if you're willing, of course, would you please raise your hand if you love someone who has battled or is currently battling addiction? Just raise your hand up. Yeah, and again, keep them up. Take a moment, look around. Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. You can put your hands down. I mean, we were all just trying to figure out how to survive, weren't we? Things happened in your childhood that weren't your fault, and you had to figure out how to survive. I mean, things happened. You felt abandoned, you felt alone, and you had to figure out how to survive. And somewhere along the way, maybe you were betrayed, and you had to figure out how to make sense of the world. The world turned upside down. You had to figure out how to survive. Maybe you didn't have the tools to cope with your feelings or the world around you. You had to figure out how to survive, and you didn't know who to trust. You didn't know how to trust. You were just waiting for that next shoe to drop, and you were so tired of being hurt. I mean, is it any wonder you ran to the next drink or you ran to the next fix? Because you're a survivor. You found a way to survive. You found something that worked. It gave you some peace and ease, and it worked for a while. For you loved ones, is it any wonder you ran towards manipulation and control? I mean, you're a survivor. You had to find a way to survive amidst the chaos. And yet, somewhere along the way, your life started to build just like that coral. A hard shell started to come up around you, and it served a purpose for a bit, didn't it? I mean, it protected you from more hurts and more pain, but the problem is the walls grew so high it kept everyone out, including God. The shell got so hardened and so thick, you didn't even know the real you anymore. You couldn't tell the truth from what wasn't true. Do you know early in the pages of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, there's a section in there called The Doctor's Opinion. And they tell us very early on, men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it's injurious, they cannot, after time, differentiate the true from the false. You see, y'all, when that skeletal shell around you gets hard enough, you will not be able to differentiate the true from the false. And when that happens, I would suggest to you that we actually hurt people. Do you know, towards the end of my active addiction, man, when I was right in the grip of this thing, Tammy, my wife, she had just given birth to our first child, our little baby girl, Selah, who's not so little anymore. She's now 14. I got sober when she was 2.5. On that day after she'd given birth, well, the next day, or maybe it was 2 days later, when we were leaving the hospital, the doctor handed her a script for pain medication. Because she was in pain. She just went through a traumatic experience giving birth. So we leave to go home. I get Tammy and our new baby girl, Selah, inside the house, and I'm going to be a good husband. So I take the script, and I go up to the pharmacy, and I fill the script with her pain medication because she was in real pain. I brought it home, and over the course of the next 2 days, she took a grand total of 4 of those pain pills. She needed them. Over the course of those same 2 days, I took the other 16 pain pills. And of course, I did so with copious amounts of booze because that's what we alcoholics and addicts do, isn't it? And y'all, I'll never forget the next morning when she came into the kitchen. I was standing on the other side of the kitchen. She went to the medicine cabinet and she opened it up to grab her pill bottle because she was in real pain. And she took the pill bottle down and she realized it's empty. And she looks at me, she says, "Rye, you took all of them?" And she starts to cry. She's angry and saddened. "You took all of them? I'm in pain. I needed these." Do y'all know at that time in my addiction, I could not differentiate the true from the false. What came out of my mouth next, what makes it really scary is I actually believed it. I said, "Yes, honey, I did take the pills." See, I'm honest. I owned it. "Yes, honey, I did take the pills, but honey, you've got to understand I had this crick in my back, and my back kind of hurt, and that's why I took all the pills." And she said, "You took all of them? Why would you do that?" I could not differentiate the true from the false. And by that time in my life, in my addiction, my skeletal shell, it became so hardened, I didn't know how to reach out for help. I didn't know how to let others in. I didn't know how to let God in. I didn't know who I was anymore. And I was drowning in these feelings of shame and unworthiness. And I can tell you all today, I am absolutely convinced that the best work of God is about cracking the hardened skeletal shell to get to your authentic self. And when that shell starts to crack and those walls start to crumble, it does somehow lead to a life of authenticity. You know, there's a beautiful story in John's gospel, John chapter 4. It's a story about Jesus encountering a Samaritan woman at a well. It's a beautiful story because it's a story about a life lived within these self-built walls and God coming in to destroy these walls in love. And it's interesting, very interesting. The text gives us a very important detail before the story even starts. The text tells us that Jesus left Judea and started back to Galilee. He went through Samaria and entered into the town called Sychar. And you say, "Well, Ryan, I don't get it. Why is that an important detail?" Well, we've talked about this here before, haven't we? First century Jewish people hated first century Samaritan people. They were in major conflict. They did not like each other. The traditional route of the day, if you're a first century Jew, would be if you were down south in Judea and you want to go up to Galilee, you would go around the yellow. You would go around Samaria. You wouldn't come in contact with Samaritans because the thinking was if I come in contact with them, that's going to make me unclean and dirty just like they are. So you would go around. You would never go through Samaria if you're a good Jew. And Jesus is a Jewish rabbi. What does he do? He goes right through Samaria. Now, the text also tells us another very important detail. It says that Jesus arrived at this well in Samaria at noon that day. You say, "Well, I don't get it. Why is that important?" Because if it's noon, that means no one should be there. Because, see, all the people in the town, they would come to draw their water for the day early in the morning. You would never go in the heat of the day at noon. No one should have been there. Jesus gets there, and when he gets there, there's a Samaritan woman drawing water from the well. Why? At noon. Well, she's got a past that she's very ashamed of. She doesn't want to be seen by anyone. Her skeletal shell, the walls are firmly built. And this conversation ensues, and Jesus says to this woman, "Can I have a drink of water?" And this woman says to Jesus, "Wait a minute. You're a Jewish man asking me, a Samaritan woman, for water? I mean, come on, man. Have you forgotten we hate each other? We don't like each other. Don't you know our history?" Jesus says, Yeah. I get all that history stuff, but actually, if you knew who I was, you would be the one asking me for water. And Jesus replied, "If you only knew the gift God has for you." Hold on to those words. If you only knew the gift God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask me and I would give you living water. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, y'all, I've read this story dozens of times. I have preached on this story, taught on this story. I grew up with this story in the church. And when I was reading it again this week, on Wednesday, I stay home. That's a day I work from home, and I prepare notes for my Saturday night message. And I come to living water, and I thought, what in the heck does living water mean? I mean, why would Jesus use this phrase, living water? And if you grew up in the church, you heard it all the time, living water, living water, living water. But what in the heck does it mean? So I go to the Greek, because you do know the New Testament is written in the Greek language originally. We have transcripts. We have translations. So I go to the Greek, and I go to commentaries and see what they say. Well, the Greek of living water, can we get it on the screen? Yeah, it's 2 words, hydor zone. Whew, that's it. Hydor, water, zone, living. And it literally translates as to enjoy real life. Not the facade life, not the fake life, not the mask we try to wear to impress people, to enjoy real life. Not the walled-off life, the shelled life, real life. How does real life look? Well, it bubbles up, it gushes forth, it's flowing. One commentator said, satisfying the desire of the soul, describing the characteristic of divine grace. And Jesus is saying to this woman, there's a gift of living water, and it provides the fullest kind of life. It's the life that has an endurance to it. It just kind of keeps on flowing. It's not like water in the well or water in a cistern that's just kind of stagnant. It's like a river. It flows. It's refreshing. And it's the kind of water that has the power to gush through and start breaking through the shell and knocking down walls. And if you only knew the gift God has for you. You see, do you believe you're worthy of that gift, the gift of living water? The woman at the well says, man, I want that water. Jesus, how do I get that water? That's the water that I need. So Jesus said to her, go get your husband and come back here. Well, this is a big problem, because the woman is thinking, if he finds out about my past, if he finds out about who I really am before giving me the living water, it's going to be a deal breaker. So the woman replied, I don't have a husband. You are right to say I don't have a husband, Jesus answered. You've had 5 husbands, and the man you are with now isn't your husband. You've spoken the truth. Do you see what's happening? I mean, she's drowning in these feelings of shame and unworthiness. She can't even differentiate the true from the false, and these walls are firmly in place. And y'all, you read this story in John chapter 4, the text is unclear what exactly has happened in her life. But we do know from history that in the first century Greco-Roman world, women were treated mostly like property. And is it possible that this woman was so tired of being hurt, so tired of the pain? I mean, even though she once knew life, that living water, she doesn't know how. She doesn't have the tools to open herself enough to receive a gift. And that hardened shell, it protected her. It served a purpose, protected her from further hurts probably. But at the same time, it isolated her from community and everything meaningful. And how many of y'all know exactly what it's like to live under the form of that self-protection, that shell, those walls you built, and they protected you from hurts, but at the same time, it's isolating you from community. It's isolating you from everything meaningful. And if you only knew the gift God has for you. Just then his disciples came back. They were shocked. They couldn't believe he was talking with this kind of woman. I mean, Jesus, why didn't you just go around Samaria like we always do? And no one said what they were all thinking, but their faces showed it. The woman put down her water jar and went back into the city. She said to the people, come see a man who has told me everything I've done. I mean, isn't that profound? She dropped everything, dropped her water jar, and ran towards people, the very people her skeletal shell had kept her from. And she goes to them and says, you're not going to believe this. You got to just come and see. This God told me I was worthy. This God told me I am not my past. This God didn't do shame. And my brothers and sisters, if you only knew the gift God has for you, the pain of your past doesn't have to have the final word. You don't have to be the coral, living with that hardened shell, living with all the walls, passing that way of life down to your kids, down to the next generation. You want to enjoy real life? Divine grace, the kind of gift that is always free. If you have to pay for it, if you have to earn it, it's not grace, it's something else. It's always free. Well, it's a gift, and it's available to you. All you have to do is start drinking from it. And here's the real kicker in the story. It's the very last line in the story, comes at the very end. Many of the Samaritans from that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. He told me everything I ever did, ... and still loved me. You see what happened? She began drinking from the living water, and then she became living water for other people. And here at Free, when we talk about authenticity, that's what we're talking about. Authenticity, what is it? We create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. We will show up, be real, and shine our light in the darkest places so that others can be found. That's a life of authenticity. Did you know in a recent survey, 16 to 29-year-olds were asked in several questions what they thought about church people, religious people? 85% of them said church people are hypocritical, meaning they'll show you one thing, but who they are, it's quite another thing. And I hear that statistic, I read it, and I say, well, maybe the problem isn't so much with hypocrisy, but it's this fear of being truly known. I mean, if the shell starts to break, if the walls start to come down, well, Ryan, you got to understand, I could get hurt again, and I may not belong, I may not be worthy of love, and if the shell starts to crack, it all goes south. And I'd say, yep, that can happen. I mean, you do know life is risky. In fact, risk is baked into the whole thing. Relationships with other people are risky. Can you get hurt again? Yep. People can hurt you. Relationships can hurt. And I would also tell you, it's absolutely worth the risk. The truth is, you can stay like the coral. You can keep that hardened shell in place. You can keep all the walls up. And the odd thing is, we know it works, don't we? We know it will protect us from certain hurts, but it will also shield you from the most real form of love. And do remember, y'all, where do corals exist? In the shallow waters. You want to go deeper in your life? Well, I have to tell you, you're going to need some living water for that. And I'll close with this. The truth is, recovery gave me a new way. I mean, early in recovery, the God that I encountered, this God started breaking away at the shell. This God started crumbling the walls that I had built around me. It was an amazing thing that happened in my life. But the other truth is, you do know, even in recovery, even in good recovery, you can still build up walls. You can still go back to the old hardened shell and live within that shell. You know, it's so interesting to me. Sometimes on these Saturday nights when I'm preparing through the week for the message, sometimes the topic that we're dealing with that we pick several weeks in advance, it's like I start preparing for that topic and it's exactly the thing I'm going through. It's like God says to me, here, Ryan, I'm going to give you this gift this week. You get to do some of that inner work. And you're like, thank you, God, for that. I really wanted to do that. Y'all, it's exactly what happened to me this week. Man, because this week on Wednesday, I had this very beautiful moment. I had a beautiful moment on Wednesday night, the same day I work from home, work on notes, and the same day I was going deep into this living water stuff. And what I realized in time of prayer and meditation and just sitting and meditating on scriptures and other texts, what I realized was there was a lot of little stuff that I had kind of done this with over the past many months. And this little stuff was catching up to me. Because see, sometimes it's those big traumatic moments in your life. It's the big ones that will cause you to build up walls. And I get it, that makes sense. We've all done that. But I think more often than not, it's the little things. It's like the little paper cut that you get. And you get one paper cut, you're fine. You get two, you're fine. But if you get too many of those paper cuts, you start to look down at yourself and say, oh my goodness, why am I bleeding everywhere? What's going on here? Well, you got too many paper cuts. You got to deal with the paper cuts. On Wednesday night, my wife, Tammy, and I, we were sitting in the entryway of our home. In our entryway, we have 2 chairs. And she was in one chair, I was in the other. And I started telling her, I couldn't put language to it in the past, but I could on this day. And I started telling her about these paper cuts and how they were affecting me, these little things that happened that just built up that I didn't deal with. And at one point in the conversation, I literally moved closer to her because we've learned there's a lot of power in moving closer to one another. And it's a chair about this size. And sorry, cameras, you probably can't catch me on this, but she was sitting down and I scooted her over just a little bit. And then she was sitting on my lap. And y'all, the number of times this has happened in my marriage where I just completely bawled like a baby, it's probably 3 times. And she held me. And she embraced me. Men in the room, if you have a spouse or a significant other, if you haven't been held and embraced by that significant other, well, I kind of recommend it. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm crying. These uncontrollable tears are coming down, and I'm trying to explain to her all these paper cuts and what it's felt like. And at one point in the conversation, she says to me, Ryan, what are you so afraid of? I said, you know what I'm afraid of? I am scared that the walls in my life are going to start to build up again. I'm scared that I'm going to go back to the old shell. And I know what that's like. I'm good at building those walls. And what happens in my life when I do that is I start to keep everyone out. The people I love most, even you, I'll keep you out. And I'll keep God out. And I don't want to go back to that way. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to live in not knowing who to trust or when to trust. I want to be trusting of people. I don't want to go back to that life. It doesn't serve my recovery well. It doesn't serve my life well. And I can barely get these words out with the tears. And I can tell y'all something very profound happened in that moment. It was like God started chipping away at that shell that I was so subconsciously building. And y'all, I tell you this to say, be aware that at times, everything within you will scream at you to start building the walls again. Ryan, you got to build the walls. Go back to that old hardened shell. It's going to protect you. And yet, the best freedom is always forged with an open heart. It's always forged with an openness. And listen, y'all, I wish I could tell you, here's exactly how to do it. Here's 3 simple steps to authenticity. I don't think it's possible. So I'll just leave you with a couple of questions. Are the walls in your life serving you? I mean, have you built them so tall they are just blocking you from the sunlight of the Spirit? You've even put a roof on these walls. Nothing's getting in. Are you willing to allow the hardened shell to crack just a bit? You don't have to dismantle the whole thing overnight. You can't. But are you willing to allow it to crack just a bit? And do you believe you are worthy of the good gift to enjoy real life? And I have to tell you, you can't do it with all the walls. So maybe your prayer tonight is a very simple one. God, help me. Help me drink of that living water, so that I can be living water for others who so desperately need it. Yes. God, help me. Help crack this hardened shell that I've built. God, help me. So what we're going to do now is hear a song. This song is about 4 minutes, and it's a meditative song. It's a reflective song. I invite you to remain quiet during this time. In fact, the song has a whopping 5 words in it for 4 minutes. Be like water. Be like water. During the song, if you'd like, I'll be up front and Kira will be up front. We have these little jars of water. Nothing special about this water. I literally got it out of the water fountain. But if you want a little blessing, a water blessing on your hand, to remember who you are, to remember that you are worthy of that living water. You don't have to live with all the walls. If you want a little blessing in your life, well, I would invite you during this song to come forward and we'll give you a little water blessing. This time is yours. Did anyone feel that in their chest or throat? No one? Maybe I'm alone in that feeling. Okay, you did? Felt it in your chest? Maybe you could breathe a little easier? My sister sent me that song this week. She said she heard that song in her yoga class. She said she had a breakthrough with that song. She sent it to me. It took me a couple of days before I actually built up the stamina to hit the play button and actually play it. And I thought, oh my goodness, let me be like water, fluid and forgiving. Beautiful thing that happens sometimes. All right, y'all. Her name, who sings that song? You'll love this. Low Wolf. Low Wolf writes Be Like Water if you want to check it out. If you have a name like Low Wolf, you're just going to knock out songs that you write. Is it true? All right, y'all. If you're new with us tonight, we always have, every single Saturday night, we have a guest storyteller in the house to share with us some of their experience, strength, and hope of the topic at hand. Listen, I cannot wait for you. I know some of you know her, but if you don't know her, I can't wait for you to meet my friend Nicole Arnold. And here's just a little backstory. When Carrie and I, our associate executive director, when we were talking through these 4 themes, and we got to authenticity the first week, she says, I got the perfect guest storyteller. I said, who is it? She said, Nicole Arnold. And I said, let's do it. Nicole and I met, and Carrie met last week, and I've known Nicole for, 4 years now? I never knew all of her story. You'll see why we've invited Nicole here tonight. She's been very good at building up those walls, that protective shell, for good reason, as you'll hear. But she also got sober in July of 2020, and those walls started to come down. Can't wait for y'all to hear the story. Help me welcome Nicole Arnold to the stage, the living room. Let's do this again, shall we? Nicole, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Last service at the 5 o'clock, you had your babies here. Now, not babies anymore, but your kids were here. How'd that feel to tell your story with, and one of them's still here, Abby's still with us.
Mm-hmm.
How'd it feel to share your story, the vulnerability of it, with your kids in the front row?
It's just really emotional. It's been an emotional week. My son surprised me for the first at the 5 o'clock, and I cried in the hallway. So,
He didn't just surprise you. This dude came in. How old is he?
17.
Comes in with flowers for mom. It was a beautiful moment. And 10 minutes before that, she was halfway complaining to me about her son's not here. Her son wasn't going to be here. And then he shows up with flowers. It was a beautiful moment.
It was. I felt bad for being terrible and talking bad about it for not coming. But he was here. And
yeah, we don't do shame in this community. Okay, let's jump into your story, Nicole. Tell us, in your life, prior to sobriety, prior to recovery, what did those walls look like in your life, and the building up of those walls? What was it like?
Well, it started when I was really young. My mom was a famous model, and then she had me, and that changed everything for her. She found resentment, and she found alcohol and crack and whips and knives, and she liked to hit me a lot, and she hated me because I was the reason that her modeling career stopped. And I was 9 years old, and it was the last time I lived with my mom. She tried to throw me out of a car. I survived. I got home. She was stabbing at me, beating me, threw me down the stairs. My dad engaged, and my dad beat her. And my next thing I know, that's the part of the story that's hard, is it gets blurry, but next thing I know, both my parents are in jail, and I become a ward of the state, and I lived in foster care for 4 years, followed by 2 more years of living in girls' homes. So that's when I learned how to get really strong quick.
So you learned at an early age that, Nicole, you need to be strong. This was about you surviving. You also found at the age of 15, you discovered the drink because you're a survivor, and what'd that do for you?
You know, when I started drinking, I was so loud. I was the girl that stood on the bar and was like, shot, shot, shot. I was the party girl. I was the girl that had the best jokes. I told the same story 15 times, louder, every time I did it.
Because when you get louder, it makes it better.
Yeah, because you didn't hear it 15 times. I was that girl, and what it really was I learned how to be something that I wasn't really. It was my protection.
Yeah, if you can get loud enough, people can't hurt you.
Yeah.
So there came a point in time where you tried to end it all, and it didn't work.
No, it didn't. Thank God it didn't work. So my rock bottom was right during COVID. I work in the restaurant industry, and I run restaurants, and I have a lot of employees that couldn't go to work, and I didn't know how to deal with that. So I drank my inventory, and I was alone, and that wasn't enough. So I started doing cocaine because for some reason I could get that, and that wasn't enough. And I started sleeping with other people's husbands. And my husband at the time, you know, we were going to get divorced, but it was COVID, so everything just prolonged forever. And he got a girlfriend, and I was really upset that my life was falling apart, but I had to just watch it because we all lived under the same roof. And so I got really drunk one night, and it was the most drunk I think I've ever been. And I drove home. I got my gun. I looked at my son, Teddy, and I said, I love you. I grabbed a magazine. I got in the car, drove down the driveway, slammed it in really quick, and pulled the trigger. And I grabbed the wrong size bullet. Thank God. So I saw fear, like the biggest fear ever. And I called my sister and I said, I need help. I'm going to kill myself. Actually, I did already, and I don't know what to do. And so she sent me directions to Denver Springs, which is not close. And I was drunk, remember? So I was driving there, and I got pulled over and got a DUI and went to jail instead. Got out of jail, and I didn't know I was an alcoholic. I didn't know. So I was going to Denver Springs for 14-day hold for suicide watch. So I got done with that, and I was facing a DUI, and I am actually afraid of the law. I don't like being part of the paperwork state. I know what that looks like from a young age, and so I was doing well. I was 4 months sober, on my own, white knuckle, just because I was afraid of the law. And somebody looked at me and said, you're going to go back out as soon as you get off paper. And then he said, I'm going to dare you to 90 days and 90 meetings. And I was like, yeah, whatever, dare me, I'll do it. So he told me where to go even, and I went to free at the old building off of Arapahoe, but I wasn't physically there because it was COVID. So I had to do it on Zoom, and it was like the Brady Bunch pictures of all these people. But I truly think that that was by design for me, because I had this idea in my head that all people in AA are either super geezers that just have nothing better to do, or people under a bridge. And like, I had all these thoughts because I didn't know any better. But when I saw all these pictures, there was like cops and doctors and professional fishermen and just normal people like me. And I think that helped me. So I paid attention. And then I just liked to see all the pictures. And so I went. And then on day 72 is when I realized that I am an alcoholic. So I was in the rooms. You were there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on Zoom. And somehow I had my first taste of being brave and actually saying I'm an alcoholic. And I remember I got on the microphone thing, whatever, clicked on the button, and I screamed out, "This is bullshit. I don't have a sponsor. I don't know what you guys are talking about. You guys are doing all this cool stuff. But I'm feeling something, right? I'm feeling the same as other people. But I wanted what they had. So I screamed out, "I want this. I want help. I'm an alcoholic." And I screamed it. And so after that, I got involved, and I started to learn.
And Nicole, you had, I believe it was your sponsor at the time, who said to you the words, I jotted them down when you said it. Nicole, you built walls, and they're so high and so strong, but if we don't break down these walls, you're never going to be able to rebuild. And she wasn't talking about rebuilding walls. She was talking about rebuilding a life. How did that change you?
It was hard. It was hard to hear because it was true. And those walls were my safety, and I still use them, and I like them. And but you can't really start to heal until you deal with the real stuff that forced the walls. And I truly believe I needed not just AA, I needed God to help me get through that because I forgot. I quit talking to my mom. I quit dealing with it. So I forgot. Those walls got so strong, I forgot. But it's real. It's still real.
And what's it look like for them to start coming down? Because I know it doesn't happen overnight, but they started to come down, and what's that look like?
It's truly being authentic and vulnerable, and it's freeing so that I can be a better employer, better mom, a better friend, and I can allow people to love me.
And what's it like to be a mom with those walls coming down?
It gives me the opportunity to not be my mom. It gives me the opportunity to lead by example, and I just want you to trust me. And I want you to grow up, and I want you to have times where you can say, "Hey, Mom," because I can't, but I can for you. And I want to be your mom, and I don't want to be mine.
Yeah. Good. And Nicole, can you tell us, just in a few brief sentences, what's it like? Because when I mentioned a story to Nicole that I was using the scripture, the Samaritan woman at the well and Jesus coming to her, she said, "Oh, I know that story." She said, "I love that story. That's my story." What's it look like for these walls to come down with God, and why does that story resonate with you?
The best part about the walls coming down is I learned something in the rooms. Someone said, "Hold on, God, I got this." And that's the walls. And I still hear that all the time. And when I hear that, I know that I'm putting them up. And I do like this story the most because I am the woman at the well. I am the woman that did bad things. I am the woman that did not think that I was worthy of God's love. I never thought that he would accept me, and I was afraid to go to the well. And I went to the well, and I drank the water, and now I'm going to tell everybody.
And what do you say, Nicole, in closing, to the person who says, nah, Nicole, you don't understand. You don't know some of the things I've done. You don't know the walls I've built and why I had to build those walls, and I'm not sure those walls are ever going to come down. What do you say to that person?
Me too. Because they're still there. And I can still put them back up anytime I want. And it's okay. But the fact that you're saying out loud, you're recognizing it, and that's the first step.
Yeah. Nicole, thank you for being a person who shows up, who is real, and who shines your light in the darkest places so that others can be found. That's some living water stuff right there. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for your bravery. Nicole Arnold, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so proud of you. Yeah, we get to do brave things in this community, don't we? Was that easy for you tonight? No. No. You're going to sleep well tonight. Thank you for giving us a gift tonight. All right, y'all, the way we close things down on a Saturday night here is very similar to how we begin. We begin with celebrations, but we close with heartaches, because maybe you've been carrying around a burden this week. You've been trying to do it on your own. You find out when you do it on your own, you suck at it. You're no good at it. It's why you have community. It's why you have a God who hears the cries of the people. You don't have to do it alone. So we take 3 minutes for this. If you have a burden, something you need prayer for, encouragement, some lifting up, that's what this 3 minutes is for. If you're online, drop in your heartaches in the Facebook comments, the YouTube comments, wherever you're joining us from. And who's, Shua, will you pass a mic around again? Who's got the other mic? Adam? Do you have a mic? Oh, all right, Austin, you got it. The big man. All right, y'all can just raise up your hand, and Shua will get you a mic, or Austin will get you a mic, and this time is yours.
Hi, my name is Kim. I just want to lift up my daughter, Demi, who's still just struggling with addiction. She's homeless right now and on the streets of Denver, and she's just pray for her, please.
Continue prayers for her. And for you, Mama. Prayers for you.
I'm Peyton, I'm an addict, and I just want to lift up a friend of mine who also is a member of this community who just got some pretty bad news, some life-threatening news. She just needs prayers, and yeah, I just want to lift her up, so.
All right, lifting her up. Thank you for mentioning them, Peyton.
Hi, I'm Erin. My partner's mother was admitted to the ER yesterday, so gallbladder might need to come out, but just kind of scary for the family, so prayers would be appreciated.
All right, prayers for them, prayers for the family. Others, any burdens, things you need prayer, lifting up, encouragement for.
I'd just like to ask for some prayers for my brother. He's going through some stuff right now and, pretty sad, so.
All right, Kira, prayers for your brother.
Hi, I'm Angel. I'm coming off about a week-long bender, and I could use some prayers, please.
All right, brother. I'm glad you're here, man. Lifting you up tonight. Connect with others before you leave. Cafe's open till 9 o'clock. Get some coffee. Anyone else?
I'm Abby, and I pray that my brother's surgery can go well.
You pray, say that again?
I pray that my brother's surgery can go well for his ACL.
All right. Prayers for the surgery. Yeah, we'll lift him up.
I'm Robert, and I just want prayer because I lost my 12-year-old son. He died in my arms, and I'm really having a hard time.
Robert, I'm glad you're here, brother. Prayers for you, man. Prayers for your heart.
My name's Josie, and I would pray for my dad. He's heading into kidney failure and needs a transplant.
All right, Josie, prayers for your dad. Lifting you up. Austin, you want to join me up here, dude?
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right, can you read from a screen?
I think so.
All right, you don't need bifocals or anything?
No.
Because you at the
No,
right
I'm
old,
two.
you know, he, how old are you?
25.
25, you're just
Yeah.
fine. Shu, on the other hand, needs to remember his.
A little young for that. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, you want to take the first one?
Sure.
All right.
Prayers for me and my, sorry. This is Molly Ann King. Prayers for me and my Flathead Lake United Methodist Camp community as we bring a free community that does not do shame regardless of the path people take beyond the waters of the Flathead and bring our community to the world.
Yeah, Molly, glad you're here
Prayers.
tonight. Prayers for you, lifting up you and your community. Glad you're here. Kayla says, when the week ahead looks busy, I pray to be kind to myself, to not be upset that my clothes aren't put away, to not be upset when my routine gets out of whack, but to breathe and know it's okay to be me. Yes, good word, Kayla. And prayers for you. Don't get upset over those things. You're breathing. You're here.
Valerie Renee, so sorry I didn't make it. My eye is so swollen. I'm not there, but I am here. Pray for all the active addicts out there.
Yeah, Valerie, it was good to meet you last week. I'm glad you're joining us online this week. Welcome here anytime. Prayers for you. Molly says, prayers for the lost children of the world looking to find home and community. Yes, Molly lifting up all those looking for belonging and home.
Stephen Sellett, prayers for Ellen's husband, diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and they have 3 young children.
All right, prayers for Ellen's husband and Ellen and the family and the kids. And Stephen, thank you for lifting them up. Glad you're with us tonight. Thank you, brother, for being with
Thank
us
you.
tonight. All right, y'all, listen, if you have been impacted by the mission of breaking the silence of addiction, well, I should tell you that we are truly grateful for your generous giving here. We rely upon it. We are funded by you, the people. I know many of you have made this a spiritual practice in your life, a sacrificial practice in your life, and we're truly grateful for it. It makes a huge difference here. If you want to donate to Free, there are a couple of different ways to do it. You can download the Free Recovery Community app. It's free to download. All of our messages, content, guest storytellers are on there. And there's a giving button on there. You can give one time or weekly, monthly, however you want to do it. We're grateful for all of it. Or you could go directly to the website, freerecoverycommunity.com, and do the same thing there. And there is the giving kiosk for you cash and checks type people. One is just beside these doors. And then there's another one just outside of these doors. And there is the dip jar just outside these doors that hangs out on a black table. The way it works, it's all kinds of fun. You can take a credit card and dip it in, dip it out. It lights up. You get to feel good about your giving. It's set at $20. You can't give more than $20 or less than $20. And it's a safe, simple, easy, secure way to give. All of these options are, and truly, y'all, it makes a huge difference here. Thank you for being a part of it. Shall we go out with a prayer? Nicole and Abby, you want to join me up here for a prayer? Now, Abby didn't know last service the 3rd step prayer. She knew the serenity prayer. And I said, had I known, we would have picked that one for tonight. But now you're getting to learn the 3rd step prayer. And it's a good one, isn't it? So I always encourage people to just kind of open the hands because it's a sign of openness. There's nothing magical about it. Oh, you're just open to the God who offers living water to quench that soul thirst, divine grace. So take a big, deep breath. If you don't know the 3rd step prayer, it's on your screen. We'll pray it together. It goes like this. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Amen. And grace and peace to you. See you all next time.